G'day and welcome back to another Wimbledon video. I want to talk very briefly today about the use of humour in the classroom. Humour is something that I try to use in all my classes, and those people who know me know that I try and use humour in all aspects of life. But in the classroom, humour can be an incredibly powerful tool for teachers who are seeking to build rapport with students, and for teachers who seek to make learning fun. The world that we look at and that we study is often filled with humour, so there's no problem with you using it in class. However, there's a couple of caveats that I would put in here, things to remember and warnings when you're using humour to make sure you don't get yourself into hot water. First of all, relational boundaries. Remember that at all times you are their teacher. Nothing you say, no matter how funny you are, will get that idea out of your students' heads. So use that as a helpful boundary. Don't be that teacher who thinks they're funny and so cool that you're almost like a mate with the students, because that's never going to happen. You're always the teacher. So it's okay to be a teacher who's funny, or a teacher who relates well with their students, or a teacher who enjoys and you love their class, but you're always going to be a teacher. Secondly, make sure all your jokes are appropriate. You always want to make sure you are as appropriate as can be with the students. There is zero need for you to be edgy with any humour that you use in a classroom. There's plenty of Netflix and Stan shows that they can watch if they want to get edgy humour. And if it's a joke that you're uncomfortable explaining to your principal with some angry parents in the room, then don't say the joke. Stay well away from any areas where you are pretty sure that joke could be taken out of context. If you're worried that your jokes are going to be inappropriate for the classroom, maybe they're jokes you should be saying in any context. Pick your moments. Sometimes humour is brilliant, sometimes it's a really helpful tool to bring a light-hearted moment into something that you're looking at, but sometimes it can just take away from what you're trying to teach the students. Think through, is this going to take students away from the main point of this lesson? Or I'm just going to let that joke slide, regardless of how funny it was. So pick your moments. Remember, in every context, you're the teacher. The point is to educate students and for them to have fun, but there are times when it's okay to let humour take a back seat if there's something that you really want to teach them, or if it's a topic that you think, you know what, I want students really focused here. And last but not least, your classroom is supposed to be a place where students feel comfortable. Now, of course, that's going to happen if you're using edgy jokes, etc. That might make them uncomfortable. But what I'm talking about here is be yourself. If you're not somebody who has a sense of humour that relates well with the class, maybe you've got a really dry sense of humour that adults think's very funny, but students don't seem to get it, don't push it. There's nothing more uncomfortable than going to some comedy club and watching someone massively bomb on stage. And your classroom's not supposed to be a stage. So you don't want students in your class feeling really uncomfortable because the teacher's obviously trying way too hard. If comedy's not your thing, if your humour doesn't relate well in a classroom setting, or if you really get flustered trying to do that and you're more comfortable being a serious, kind of, fair teacher who doesn't, get involved in side conversations but sticks to what you're talking about, then do that. Because your students will be most comfortable when you're most comfortable in the classroom. And so humour can be a great tool, but I wouldn't, if I was a teacher worried about it, thinking about it, I wouldn't say this is the most important thing to happen in a classroom. So there's my thoughts very briefly on using humour in the classroom. Any questions? Feel free to comment below or get in contact with me, and I'm happy to answer any or all questions in whatever serious, light-hearted or jovial tone you request.